Welcome to the Doom Den. Again, I am Dr. Tom McKnight, also known as Dr. Doom. So, what we have going on today is a hurricane coming towards lower Mississippi, Louisiana, and along the Gulf Coast. So, I'm looking for my phone so I can get a good track of the weather. I'm bringing up the radar right now. I probably should have just did this in Zoom. That way I can share my computer screen. So there it is. Coming right our way. It looks like it's going to be bringing a whole lot of rain. And obviously, one thing to never underestimate is the storm category. Just because it says category 1 or 2, can't really go along with the logic that, oh, it's only a 1 or 2, it ain't that bad. Because, yes, even though the winds might be a bit milder with the soggier ground, especially in the Gulf Coast and a lot of places in the southeast, the trees are not rooted very deep because their roots don't have to go very deep because it's wet all the time. So it takes a whole lot less wind to make those trees fall over than it does out west. And there's also, the biggest part of the storms is also the rain and all of the water that comes along with that rain. And when that accumulates, of course, it drains, well, downhill. So if there is no real downhill because it's very flat or has a very, very low slope, it will accumulate. And water accumulate is generally bad. So some recent hurricanes that have been just really bad because of the water, not necessarily the very high storm winds. One, Harvey, when it rolled down to that Houston area, was a lot smaller storm into the category 1 or tropical storm, but then it got stuck and dropped a whole lot of rain. Another one, Hurricane Florence into South and North Carolina, where it just dropped a whole lot of rain. And the thing about the rain, it'll go a lot farther inland than the high winds will. The high winds will go onto the coast, maybe a little bit farther inland. And a storm surge, of course, will just affect the coast. But that rain, once that goes inland and just gets stuck and starts dumping more and more rain, yep, that rain will affect those inland areas. And then it'll also affect all those downstream areas even more. So never, ever underestimate the category of a hurricane. Just because it's a low 1 or it's a tropical storm, it can still have very devastating impacts. Also, pay attention to local emergency managers and evacuation orders and get the fuck out of Dodge if you feel the need to. And see, yes, always preparation for a storm should start beforehand. And I don't mean like the night beforehand. However, some of the things usually have to wait till the night beforehand, like making sure your vehicle is fueled up. Yeah, because we use those all the time. So there's a good chance, yeah, it might be lower on fuel, but it's a good idea just to top off. So fuel, very important for vehicles, especially when the need to go comes along. And also, when it comes to fuel, this is a preparation beforehand step. Have fuel for generators. If a person has a generator, backup generator at their home, make sure it has plenty of fuel so it'll actually run. So we got the hurricane coming along. And let's see, what else did I look at here? Let's see what the Portland shit show looks like. Actually been kind of busy over the weekend, so here we go. As Portland sees more than 100 nights of riots and protests, two-thirds of voters have a negative. Yeah, I'm pretty sure they will have a negative impression of their political leadership with 100 nights of continuous riots and the chicken shit mayor running away. Oh, 4 days ago, police make 11 arrests in downtown protest. Yeah, that's more like riots than protesting. Okay, the chicken shit mayor of Portland, Ted Wheeler, orders police to immediately stop using type of tear gas on riot crowds. Again, that's that asshole that just said let them run riot wild, burn down the city, but don't burn down my condo. Okay, so basically that shit show in Portland is still going on, and it's being allowed to. However, some areas it's not really being allowed to, and which relates to federal buildings. As yes, the DHS secretary made it very clear that any threats toward any federal personnel and federal property will not be tolerated. Again, that's a proper stand to take when rioters and assholes are getting out of control and burning down public buildings, public institutions, and they're also burning down private businesses. They're raising the shit show in residential areas. So yes, none of that shit really should be tolerated. So there's a shit show in Portland. And yes, there's a shit show in Wisconsin. Let's see, there might be still a shit show in Chicago. Let me take a look at that one real quick, like. Ah. It looks like Chicago calmed down a bit, at least from what I can find right quick here. There doesn't seem to be any new stuff. I'm sure people that are actually living there might have a whole other story to tell about that. All right, so besides the people-caused issues and the hurricane coming, what else is going on? Oh yeah, there are big-ass fires out west and very horrible air quality in places like Oregon and California, probably even seeping into Nevada. There's one in Colorado, it's over 300,000 acres, still burning. So bad air quality, big fires. And I did notice one thing where it says when the air quality gets so bad that planes can't really run in there. In order for jet engines to combust, there needs to be a fuel and guess what mixture? You're right, air. Jet engines need a fuel air mixture to run just like any other internal combustion engine. So when they can't make the drops with the fire retardant stuff in the water, it really hampers the ability to put a lot of the fire out. So one of their big tools is off the table. And in a way, it kind of almost creates a harder situation to deal with. And again, I'm not a fire expert. I was kind of going off what I was reading there, except for how internal combustion engines work. I already knew that. So fires. Again, best thing to do is we're living in a fire-prone area, have a ready-to-go kit beforehand. And when you get the notice that a fire is coming or burning, and listen very carefully to evacuation notices. Now, let's see, quick items for, we're having to go back as usual, a little show and tell. And I will show and tell this one right here. Show and tell, very quick portable item. It's just a single barrel 20 gauge with a legal barrel. Very quick, very portable, and also relatively inexpensive. So something that can be carried around very easily, and it's very light. Yes, and of course, one of the major features is make sure it has a legal barrel length, especially for a shotgun, like 18.5 to 20 inches. Yeah, it's good. It'll be good. You can blast some squirrels, or if you put buckshot in there, you can blast a stray coyote or something else, depending on the situation. But hey, it's a nice little handy dandy tool to have. And just like shotguns, they are very, very versatile. They can be loaded with slugs to take down larger animals. They can be loaded with buckshot to take down really pesky critters or human threats. And they can be used with, smaller game shot for smaller game like rabbits and squirrels and birds. So that is the show and tell for today. What else can we talk about? Let's see, how to keep an operation running. Well, in the next segment, not in the next segment, in the whole next episode, we really need to cover the topic of business continuity planning. That is a good segment all in itself, and I hope I can actually keep that one within a half hour, 45 minutes. But then again, it is a subject I can babble on and on about, so who knows, it might end up being 2 hours. So, what should we... Well, all is clear here so far outside. Just waiting for the hurricane to come rolling on over us, which will most likely be a tropical storm by the time it gets this far inland. But it will be rainy. So it's a good idea for everyone that lives right on the coast to get off of that coast. The south part of Mississippi and in some areas in Louisiana are expecting a 7 to 11-foot storm surge, which means that's 7 or 11 foot of water that's higher than the ground level at the beaches. And with that much moving water, that's a hell of a lot of energy being delivered into anything that the water hits. All right, so hurricane warning. Update on shit going down in Portland still. Fire brief. Again, a fire area is really outside of my area of expertise, so I don't want to comment too much of it. Otherwise, I'll just end up putting my foot in my mouth and saying something really stupid. Now, how can mitigation work be done on the rioting type of problems going on, which is a very, very complex situation. Yeah, some of those protests start out as very legitimate, and of course, protesting in itself is very legitimate, and because it's protected by, guess what? First Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. And let me get one thing very, very clear. The right to peaceably assemble, speech, press, religion, bearing arms, to the second, not the first. But however, all of the rights in general are not granted by the government. The government does not say, people, you can have this right. No, it is the opposite. The governments are instituted to protect all of those rights that the people have by being born. The Constitution in general, as the supreme law of the land, structures the government in a certain way, gives them certain authorities, and ensures that that government protects the born rights that the people have and that they would have had even if the government didn't exist. So again, government does not grant rights. It is there to ensure that people continue to have them and to protect those rights. Did you just say government doesn't grant rights again? I guess I just did. So, anyways, peaceable protests, yes, completely legitimate grievances. It turns into riots. We're out to say people come in to start riots. How can that shit be mitigated? And yes, complex, very complex. And there needs to be, for one, we'll start on a thing where there needs to be a good balance between preserving the rights of everybody and stopping the really bad shit that's going down. There's obviously an approach to just going down and blasting the shit out of every rioting asshole. Yes, it sounds like actually a fairly good idea. However, when it comes to a government's use of force, they do need to recognize and protect the rights of the people, including all the due process rights. Yeah, obviously, if a rioting asshole was shooting at a police officer or some other citizen, yes, immediate protective measures would need to be taken to put down, well, the asshole that was trying to kill the police officer or one of the citizens. The rioters have absolutely no right to start trying to kill anybody. Police officers do have a duty to stop the riots. All the people that live that are in the area, helping to clean the shit up and live in the area and have businesses, they have the absolute right to stand their ground and protect the communities and protect even themselves and people how they're kind of there to help clean up and help in any other capacity that they can. So balancing, yes, when it comes, and that all starts mitigating that is, well, high quality leadership, especially at the political level, is one thing that's needed and isn't really there in all of those places that are having those big old shit show riots. If they actually did have competent leadership in those places, they would have found a way to resolve it. One of the main aspects of leadership is being able to find a middle ground in almost everything, really. It's basically finding a place between two extremes to come together to where it's workable. Like, for example, a few examples. A good leader needs to have a good self-esteem and self-confidence without being conceited. They need to be very confident and have a good ability to relay important messages and really demonstrate their competence and show how that they're really good at what they're wanting to do and what they're doing without being arrogant about it. So another way to get a good middle ground. Leaders not only need to be have a high level of intelligence to be able to figure things out on the fly. They can't just be big brainiacs that completely disregard the more emotional part of the human existence. Let me put it that way, I guess, or the emotional intelligence. They need to be able to draw a line between, yes, we need to demonstrate a lot of emotional intelligence. However, we also need to have intelligence. So they need to actually know stuff. They need to be able to figure things out. However, they also need to be compassionate and show empathy towards people who have been in very bad situations. Let me put it that way. And let's see. They need to be able to allow for group level problem solving and group discussions, and yet they still need to be decisive. So yes, the two can work together pretty well. They listen to all the input generated and then make a decision and stick with the decision and the course of action. Leaders need to be able to plan and have a little bit of foresight. However, they also can't take the complete authoritative approach and say this is exactly what we're going to do all the time, and not allow for any group level problem solving. So the group level problem solving very beneficial to these type of very complex situations, especially on that human caused one like with the riots and stuff. And there really needs to be dialogue between the person that's in that public leadership role and let's name a few of those multiple parties that need to be involved in that. The community services organizations, see the protesting people, representatives from that side, and the social services advocates and even agencies to get their perspective on it. Of course, people from public safety, people from the residents. How does it affect their livelihood and ideas on how they want to proceed to resolve the whole situation. Above all, there really needs to be a message that rioting and that type of bad behavior will not be tolerated. And when that kind of decision is reached by consensus between political leadership, public safety, community groups, and even the original actual protesting groups, that they all have a unified message to send. Hey, guess what? Then all the rioters know, oh shit, everyone's against us. Maybe we gotta stop. Yeah, you think so, huh? Now, how to keep something like that from happening in the first place, or at least reduce the chance of it happening in the first place? Well, for one, definitely need to learn about what triggered a lot of it in the first place. So yes, in some places, it was caused by an unarmed person that was murdered by police in a really screwed up way, like George Floyd. That set things off, and obviously that type of behavior wasn't an isolated incident. Otherwise, it really wouldn't have kicked everything off like that. How can police departments do a lot better screening initially? Well, part of it is initially, and other part of it is ongoing. When somebody has complaints filed against them, yes, they really should be looked into. The person's Mental health should be evaluated on a regular basis. The good old boy club walls need to be torn down to allow people to take care of their mental and physical health all the time and not get any kind of bad stigma for doing that. That's for one. Yes, the good old boys club, the macho man behavior, that's the kind of shit that needs to go away. Hey, if somebody's like, okay, seen a lot of crap, need to decompress, need to wind down, need to talk to a therapist. I don't want to hear any shit from anybody else. For one, individual people need to have the fucking balls to say, hey, I need to decompress, I'm going to go talk to a therapist. If you all say anything like that, fuck you, I'm going to do it. They need to have the balls to stand up for themselves and take necessary good health measures. That would actually alleviate a lot of it. Not worried about peer pressure, what peers think, blah, 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 blah. They do what's right because it's right, and it's going to be right for themselves, and it's going to be right for the entire department, and it's going to be right for the entire public that they serve by recognizing they need downtime, they need, hey, talk to a therapist, decompress, and engage in actually healthy behavior. Everybody's best served. Yes, but change in culture climates does not happen overnight, unfortunately. And yeah, there'll be a longer term solution. But however, things like that about growing a pair of fucking balls should be taught not only at the higher education institutions, and also the public safety training institutions as well. Do what's right because it's right. Don't follow that stupid little subculture. Have a pair of fucking balls. Say, no, I'm not going along with you just because I'm your partner and that what you're doing is pretty screwed up. I don't know how I can make that point any more clear than that, really. Yeah, that's about as clear as I can really make it. Go have a pair of fucking balls and take care of yourself and your own well-being. Then you'll be best able to take care of everybody else's well-being, and if a person is in a public safety job. Now let's talk about mental health well-being in general here. Decompression time. What is decompression time? Well, we need time and we're off work and not doing things that are high stress in nature. For one, we take time off, we relax, look at the stars, enjoy the trees, hike in the woods, swim in the beach, go surfing, and scuba diving. That's actually a really great one. Just get to go down in a whole nother world, and as a guest, and just looking at all the little fish in their own world while you're a guest in their world. And yeah, just nice and relaxing and mellow. It's actually a really good one there. So, yes, decompression, time off work is very, very good. Working too much, very, very not good. So, straight 40-hour work week. Those are instituted for a really good reason. It's actually to get a balance and not overwork people till they're fucking dying all the time. Really, partly anyways. Moderate it. Yes, work is important. We need that to pay our bills, and those of us that are in a particular career that we really love doing, maybe we do it because we really love doing it. However, in order to keep us really loving to do our work and being just an old bitter, burnt out fucking asshole, we need to moderate. We need to have set times where we work. We need to have a good work-life balance to where we're spending plenty of time with our families and playing in the pool and doing all the fun decompressing stuff and chasing after the little kids. Our little kids, I mean, not somebody else's. That'd just be creepy as hell. So yeah, chasing after our little kids. That's always fun. That's decompression in itself, really. Uh, Taking care of mental health. Yes. Work as you need to. Hey, do the best job you can. Strive for excellence. Strive to be the best at what we are or what we do. Absolutely, or hold ourselves to a very high standard of excellence. And with that, yes, there's a lot of individual responsibility that goes with it. If somebody in my team isn't really completely cutting it, and they find out that hey, they're not cutting it because there's a knowledge gap, there's something they need to work on, they're not getting a clear, good message out, they're not managing things or not managing workloads very well. Okay, let's get into it. We'll work, we'll mentor, we'll train. Because if they're not doing a good job as a person in a leadership role, it's our responsibility to make sure that happens. And if there is a discrepancy, yes, my own point of view is I deem that as a failure on my part that one person is not able to do some types of work because I didn't spend the time to get them to the level that he needs to be. So yes, setting that standard of excellence, we hold ourselves accountable. And we hold all of our people accountable. We give them the responsibility and delegate it to do the best job that is possible to achieve superior results. We hold ourselves accountable. We hold everybody else accountable. However, we also treat everybody completely fairly. We work with everybody. We don't lord over them and boss them around and act like just a wild maniac that's always blanting and yelling, ranting and raving, and being a general dickhead. That's not a leader. That's just a dickhead. A dickhead is a dickhead. We lead by getting people to really want to follow us. So it's one thing that can be learned from cult leaders and serial killers, how they get people to follow them. Well, they get people to follow them because they put out a message that people want to hear and a vision that people want to go towards. Okay, that's where the similarity ends. Cult leaders in particular are really good at coming up with a vision, getting people to willingly come on board. Okay, so as a person in a leadership role, that's the one thing to strive towards. Having a vision and getting people to really wanting to willingly come and drive towards that vision. Like I said, getting people to drive towards a vision. That's really where. Now I'll stop. Now I'll stop with the cult leader anthology because the cult leaders usually get those people to go down and well, the results are generally really screwed up. So we don't really want to emulate their behavior at all. It's just one of the things we can learn from them is getting people to follow a vision. People will follow a vision. They'll also follow a person. A person kind of encompasses that vision. And, hey, then you got people that are willingly wanting to follow your lead, and we'll be able to develop great team camaraderie. We'll achieve very good results, and we'll have really good fucking barbecues. So that's another part of mental health. Yes, being completely competent and knowledgeable in the job, having everybody being on the same page and doing a good job and having barbecues and develop team camaraderie where everybody really has a sense of belonging. However, everybody still has to remember, and we as the leaders have to remember to always tell people, all right, all this is cool, but yeah, you still need some good relaxation time, decompression time. Talk to a therapist if you want to, all of those good things for good mental health. Yes, because mental health is very important, and if mental health starts to slack, then the physical health starts to slack. So, on to the next subject. Good, decent physical health. That starts with good mental health. And good physical health also means moderating in, certain types of beverages. There's, like the alcoholic beverages types. Yes. Really good way to fuck your mind and body up by consuming it too much all the time. You can just Google the toxicity stuff of it. I don't really want to get into that. But yes, it's moderated by people and there's no problems. People using that as a coping mechanism, then there does tend to be problems because they're wanting to, be on it more and more and more. So, on to physical health. What can be done, to promote good physical health? Well, walking, whether it's in the woods, on the beach, or wherever, it can do two things. It'd be good for physical health, stretch the legs, get the muscles moving, and everything well lubricated, and also decompress the mind a bit too. That's one simple way. And there are also pretty simple things for, people don't have a budget for a good at-home gym, or they don't want to pay money to go to a gym where it's COVID-19 and a lot of gyms aren't open. Well, it's actually pretty easy to have some things that a person can use just for moderate workouts, to get the muscles moving. Oh yeah, swimming's one of the best things ever. But hey, everybody can't afford to build a pool. And the public pools are open. Awesome. Hell, public pools should be open. They offer the bug's worst enemy, chlorine and sunshine. Oh, yes, good. Plenty of sunshine. Great for physical and mental health. Okay, back to physical health. Simple exercising thingies, just to get things moving around. Wait, these rubber band things. I even had these things just, it's just got it rigged up to my motorhome. So, yeah, a bunch of exercises you can just be done on them. I also have the little strap things that can, one part of it hooks right on my door, hangs on the outside, and you can do a lot of body weight exercises with that. And there's those ab roller things too. And you can work out the shoulders and of course the abs, the core, really well, get things moving. Especially when some person's at a job where they don't get a lot of moving because they're stuck behind a computer all the time or something like that. So those type of things are really, really good, and they're really, really portable. Like those straps in the ab roller, can just get thrown in the bag or in the car and go into a work site. Blah, blah, blah. Nice and simple, easy peasy things. And let's not forget the overall just body weight exercises like your standard push-ups, crunches, pull-ups, just things like that. Yeah, it doesn't take really a whole lot. All it really takes is a lot of self-discipline, self-control, and getting ourselves on a decent schedule. Yeah, I think that's actually the hardest part. Getting ourselves on a decent schedule. And again, hey, if we get ourselves on a decent schedule and keep to it, then help another area of, different life balances between exercising, being with family, and working, and having a good balance among all of them, which will in turn also help promote a better mental health. So all of those things intertwine: a good mental health, a good physical health, and a good productive work environment. Yes, because the way we treat ourselves and in our job. So our own health and our own well-being carry over into our job and our job performance. Yes. So that's why really finding the right balance in everything is very important. Anyhow, That's all I got for today. Everyone stay safe and have a best week as possible.